Hey everybody, welcome to the NEPA Scene Podcast, the only live streaming in-person arts and entertainment podcast covering northeastern Pennsylvania, offering a true alternative voice in local media. We're coming to you from the NEPA Scene studio underneath Center City Print in downtown Scranton. I'm Rich Howells, the founder and editor of NEPA Scene. Tonight we're here with Wilkes-Barre melodic hardcore band One Step Closer. Before they head back out on another national tour with Koyo, Anxious, and Prize Horse, we're going to talk about their upcoming album, All You Embrace, being signed to and working with Run for Cover Records, touring the country and the world, the straight edge hardcore scene, representing Wilkes-Barre in their music, and their latest video for Giants Despair. Their anticipated record release show at Doug's Boardroom in Kingston on June 27th, and much, much more. So please stay tuned for the full hour. We'd love to hear from you guys down below in the comments. So anything you want to add to our conversation, anything you want to comment on, any questions for these guys, make sure you leave those in the comments. We'll get to those in just a little bit. Before we dive in, I just want to thank our sponsor, Center City Print, who's provided us with this studio space. Use promo code NEPA Scene in person or online at centercityprint.com for 10% off. Center City Print can bring your ideas to life in 3 locations: Scranton, Kingston, and Hazleton. These one-stop shops are locally owned and operated, offering high-quality printed products, copy and custom print services, and design solutions to help you, your small business, your nonprofit, your band, your photography, your art project, or any venture thrive. Visit them now at centercityprint.com and use promo code NEPA Scene online or in person for 10% off. I did see that.
Dude,
That's so cool.
I love going down the rabbit holes and seeing people like remake superhero gear.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
And of course, you know, now that Wolverine's going to be another movie, you see like people making the Wolverine claws again.
Yeah.
Which is just the Freddy Krueger or claw. You really think about it. Just like kind of cleaner. It looks like it was washed, you know?
Right. Well, they were smart with the movie. They had him put it in between his fingers so he could hold it. Because in the comics, it was always on like the back of his hand. And it's like, I don't know how you would really do that. Like,
it
from
looks
a practical perspective.
They made it look way more like it's coming out of his knuckles kind of thing.
Right.
But like, in the old stuff, I feel like it looked like he was like doing this kind of action. Like,
isn't it more so like, because I know in the later movies they make it like metal.
Yeah.
Isn't it just like cartilage in like the comics or something?
So it was weird because they we'll get right back to the actual music stuff. We have to nerd out here a little bit. This is important business. So yeah, in the original comics, he had metal claws. It was adamantium coated his whole body, and the claws were pure metal. And then later on in the 90s, they were Magneto rips his adamantium out of his body, and they revealed for the first time, it was basically just a retcon that they added in later, that he has bone claws underneath. He actually had claws the whole time. He didn't remember, because his mind's been erased and messed with so many times over the years. He didn't remember he had these bone claws. So they did the bone claws thing for a while, and they took forever to give him the metal back. It was like 10 years in comics before he finally actually got all the metal and stuff back.
Well, and then they did it in the movie too, and they show I forget what movie it is, but then they're injecting him with like the stuff, and then he comes out and he's like all metal and stuff. But before that, he had, like, it shows the bone claws and stuff, but
so gross.
Yeah, he was like the only one that, because he could constantly heal, that could like survive the process.
Yes.
Being, bonded with the adamantium. So
those movies are awesome. I still have not seen Logan somehow.
Oh, really?
And I really want to see it.
Yeah, you gotta see that.
I gotta sit down and watch it. For some reason I just missed it completely, and I don't know. I think I really wanted to see it in the movies, and then when it was out of the movies, I was like, well, I missed my shot. You know?
They have it on the plain movie thing sometimes.
Oh, yes, on Monday.
That's where I watched it.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it on Monday. Then we're flying to the UK on Monday, so I will watch it on the flight. That sounds fun.
All right, so let's dive in. For those who aren't familiar with you, could you introduce yourselves and your position in the band?
Sure. My name's Ryan. I sing in One Step Closer.
I'm Ross. I play guitar in One Step Closer.
Yeah, it's always such a weird. It's so weird introducing yourself sometimes. We've come to this conclusion over the time of doing these like interviews and different things, I'm always just like, I don't know how to like talk proper. And I feel like I
get
sound
sweaty,
stupid.
like,
Yeah,
when I have to say my name.
My hands are clammy, and we're just like, but yeah.
Am I gonna mess up my own name?
Yeah, or mess up like, oh, I sing guitar. I mean, I don't know, like just like, but yeah, it's cool.
So how did you first get into music? Was it something that started, at a young age, as a kid, as a teenager? Is it something that came a little bit later?
My dad was always like super into music and was always playing like 80s and 90s rock stuff around the house, and even like early 2000s rock stuff. And then I think as my interest kind of grew, he was really like, oh, I gotta like bring him into the world of like actually playing instruments and stuff like that. So he like quickly kind of started teaching me how to play guitar at a young age, and then from there it just kind of flourished, honestly.
For me, my pop, he was a big jazz guy, so he would like always push me to play like, I don't know, the violin, saxophone and stuff.
Okay.
But so I've always like played music, but was never like super into it until I started skating, and I met the homie Nick Kratz, shout out. And then I think we found the Dead Kennedys together, and that just kind of went down the rabbit hole of like punk, And then skating with Ryan, he played in, I think it was Nothing Left.
Yep.
And he invited me to go to one of the shows, and then here I am now.
Well, the skating and music are so intertwined.
Yeah, shout out Tony Hawk Pro Skater and like all these games, like American Wasteland, like all those bands were covering like old hardcore bands. I think, was it Fall Out Boy that covered Gorilla Biscuits or something like that? Yeah. And like, I feel like that, just hearing punk and like skating, like having an older brother who grew up skating and was always like blasting like Slipknot and like that kind of music, and like, like the early 2000s, like Warped Tour kind of music all the time. I feel like I always just kind of correlated the two of them together. I was like, oh, if you listen to that, you have to skateboard, right? And then like I started skating, I was like, well, I have to listen to that, right? You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's always been a thing of like punk and hardcore and skateboarding for sure.
How did you discover the local music scene?
A friend of mine growing up, his older brother was pretty involved in going to shows and like the local music scene, and he showed us bands like Title Fight and stuff like that when I was like probably in 5th grade, so that's like 10 years old, I think, around that age. And once I started like skating and like skating with older people, they kind of put me on to more local music, and then put me on to going to shows, and they were like, yo, this show's in like a week, like we'll drive you, because I was like 12, 13 at the time, and they're like, yo, we'll just like jump in my car and I'll like take you to the show. That was when like Redwood was still like a really popular spot, and before that shut down and stuff. And then from there it kind of just kept going slowly, and then once I was starting to play in bands, I feel like it was like an every weekend thing, kind of going to shows and going to local shows and just trying to be as involved as possible, really.
Yeah. I think for a while, me and Nick thought we were like the only punk kids in the area. And then we found out there was like shows going on. There was a scene, and we didn't know where to look. We just heard rumors of it. Yeah. So we would just like skate around Wilkes-Barre and Kingston, just trying to find a venue and be like, when is it happening? You know what I mean? But then once me and Ryan started skating more, he started like being like, yo, come to this show and do this, and like I feel showed my crew like where the scene was and like what's happening,
That was when like the Lamppost was a really important spot for the scene and stuff, and that was like I feel like our generation's like spot coming into the scene, really. Like, I mean, I was going to shows when I was that young, but I didn't quite understand like what it was really, I guess. You know what I mean? I knew it was like punk and hardcore music and that it was like kind of an underground thing, but I didn't realize how big and how important it was to like our area and stuff until I got more involved in seeing like places like the Lamppost and figuring out how important like DIY venues are to our area, because they just get taken away from us so quickly here. And like there's always a new spot, even like, right around the block we had the Irish Wolf Pub for a long time that was throwing shows, you know, and that was like that was the
That
only spot
wild.
though. You know what I mean? That
it was
like
crazy.
it was there, and like, you know, I feel like once we lost the lamppost, everything kind of slowly dwindled as well, like everything else, and now we're finally starting to pick things back up, I think, with like venues and stuff, which is fun.
Yeah, I think too, like traveling and talking to people from other scenes, and then them bringing up like, yeah, like we wish we were able to play the Lamppost, or like come play the other side, or the Irish Wolf. Like people knowing our venues and being like, damn, wish we were able to come through and like play. Like the videos, pictures look crazy, you know. Yeah, which I think just makes me more proud to be from the area too. Like having people from like Boston or like New York be like, damn, like your scene looks crazy. Wish we were like a part of that, you know, which is cool.
So what was it about like punk and hardcore that like spoke to you or made you say like, let's start a band, let's do this?
I mean, I was just talking about this recently. Like, I think when I was like 5 years old, it was the American Idiot video that really kind of like, I don't know what it was, but I mean, I didn't really understand what they were talking about with like on a political standpoint, you know what I mean? But I was just like, they look so cool, and like it just seems like they're very like being very aggressive and like angry with like the way they're like singing and like kind of what they're doing. And there was just something about the way that they were playing and like jumping around. I was like, that just looks so cool. And from there, I think my interest kind of started, I would say. But moving as I got older and stuff like that, like I think just the message behind like so many of the bands that I like grew up loving, like a band like Youth of Today, and like Ross was saying, like the Dead Kennedys and like stuff like that, like listening to those and like hearing what they talk about in their music, and like hearing them just being angry about something but just being so straightforward and just saying it outright in their music. I think that kind of spoke to me, being like 14 years old and just being like, this is the coolest shit ever, you know. But it still speaks to me now. I mean, I still love it. It's just like at that time I was like, I connect with this so much, you know.
Yeah, I think just seeing the energy at shows and like hearing the energy within punk in general just drew me in instantly, you know. Just like going to a show, seeing people from out of town just like act crazy, you know, like people going off, going nuts, then having like old heads like the homie TK being like, you can do that, like why don't you start a band with your friends, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And being like, oh, like I could do that and then go tour and, you know, be the Blind Justice of like, you know what I mean, Wilkes-Barre, and go do that for other people, you know. But yeah, just like seeing crazy bands wanting to do that and then doing it was cool.
Yeah.
And just being a part of the community as a whole, you know. Like, I feel like our area has always had a very, you know, tight-knit kind of community that like rides for each other and will always like lend a hand. And I think just being a part of that for me has always been very important, and I think very special.
100%.
How did One Step Closer then end up coming together?
I was doing another band that we started when I was like 15. It's a band called Nothing Left that like I think we only did a demo and like a little promo tape thing. Okay. And it was very bad. It was very, very bad.
It was so cool.
And like it was so bad. And then
buckle my shoes.
Yeah, like it was really bad. But it was cool because like I got a chance to like play shows and like, you know, like really experience just like being a part of the scene, and then once that kind of died out and I was still like wanting to do a band and still do stuff, and our friend Tommy, who was playing drums originally in One Step Closer, I just texted him one day and I was like, oh yeah, well he was playing guitar. You're right. Sorry. That took me a sec. I was like, whoa. Yeah, he originally started playing guitar with One Step Closer, but then he later switched to drums. But I texted him at the time. I was like really into like more melodic, like hardcore stuff, like Have Heart and Turning Point, and you know, some more like 90s kind of stuff as well. And I was just like, yo, we need to start a band that just sounds like this. We need to start a band that's like more melodic and like have the more like picky guitar riffs and really just like make it cool. And I was like, I want to front the band, and like you could play guitar or drums. And he's like, I really want to play guitar. and it just kind of formed together, just literally off like 2 texts back and forth to each other, you know. And then from there it kind of continued to grow, and like we got some people, and then Ross joined like I'd say like probably a year later, maybe a little less, maybe like 6 months after like that whole thing. And yeah, from there we kind of just continued to play, and then eventually we started playing out of the area a little bit more, and then yeah, like from there we just kind of tried to do as much as we possibly could, really. I think like the whole goal of the band, like when I was literally, I think at like one of the first practices I was just like, all I want to do is play shows. Let's just play shows. Let's just like play everywhere we can and just have as much fun as we possibly could, and just, you know, like not even thinking about it being like something that we actually like do like more full time now, you know.
Yeah, I remember the months before I was in the band, Ryan would show me the demos of the songs, and I'd be like, this sucks. And I'd be so honest with like, this is so bad, I don't like this. And then I kind of would just linger outside the house and just skate, or just like be in the living room while they would practice at Tom Pete's.
You were at, I think, literally every practice.
Every practice. I missed 2 shows, I think, only.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I would go to, I remember a show they played in Jersey before I was in the band. They paid me, and they thought I was in the band, and like
they paid him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then at that point we were just like, yo, you really should just be in the band and just play. But like you weren't even playing guitar for that long before you joined. Like maybe like 6 months, I think.
Yeah, I pretty much learned how to play for the From Me to You promo. Yeah. And I remember while we were recording, Tommy was playing guitar, and he would always switch up the strumming patterns like every time he played.
He was really bad with that. Yeah.
And I like had one like dialed. I was like, okay, like this is how I do it, because like I didn't know how to play guitar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he switched it up on me, and I sit down, and they all left to go get like Wendy's or something, and it's just me and I think it was Jake Clark.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And like I'm like 30 minutes into trying to play like Portrayal or something, and he just looks at me and goes, "Do you even know how to play this song?" And I was like, I really think so.
But I really don't know.
I don't know what he's doing. And then me and him are sitting there listening to him, be like, what is he doing? Like, he just, I don't know.
Yeah.
But then Tommy had to come, like, figure out what he did. And he just forgot what he did. It was crazy.
That's crazy to think back to that. That was, what, 2018 maybe?
Yeah.
Long time ago already.
And like a lot of bands around here, your first EP was recorded at JL Studios.
Yes, it was. That was the first one. 2017, I think. Yeah, we were still in high school. So crazy. Yeah, that was the first EP that we did. We did like one demo before that, and then we did that EP. And that was like when we kind of started understanding how to make music a little bit better, I think. And then from there, it just progressively got better and better. But that was the first time where I feel like we were writing what we intended to start the band as, which was like a melodic hardcore band. So, you know, it was more of a, you know, like the riffs were actually more melodic. They felt like they fit the vibe a little bit better. Where the demo before that and the songs I feel like Ross was hearing were just straight up like, it just sounded like a 16-year-old hardcore band. You know what I mean? That like that's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
And we, like I said, we really didn't know what we were doing. And even like though I wanted to like start doing a band that sounded like, you know, all these bands I really loved, I just didn't quite know how to do that really. And then eventually we kind of figured it out. But yeah, that's like kind of where it all started really.
I feel like now is like when we just figured out how to write a song.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we actually have it like dialed now. Like we figured out the secret solution here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
yeah.
Where'd the name come from?
It didn't come from a Linkin Park song. I'm gonna say it
dude,
outright.
I wanted the band to be called Smooch.
Yeah.
Or Half Step. Or Splash. Those were 3 options that I was like, this would be really sick, you know? But I think it was a Sheets trip, right?
Yeah, we went to Sheets. Our old bass player was talking, and we wanted it to be something that was like an acronym that we could just shorten and just, you know, tag it places or just have it cool on like shirts and like different things, and people kind of like know it as like OSC, and that's like which it did kind of, it ended up being something that did work out. And I feel like we do exactly what we intended with it. But yeah, he was like, oh, one step closer. Like, that's pretty cool. Because we were thinking half step, like he said. And then one step closer came, and we were just like, oh, this is pretty dope. Yeah, and OSC sounds cool. Kind of slides off the tongue, pretty well. And then, then 2 years later, everyone's like, did you guys name your band after a Linkin Park song?
Dude.
And we just haven't been able to get away from it since.
We didn't even think of it like that either.
No. And it's crazy because obviously that song is absolutely massive, and that band is absolutely massive.
And that record rocks.
And that record is very good, but it's one of those things that I feel like when we were in the moment, we were just grinding out band names in our heads for so long that it was just like, oh yeah, that sounds awesome. Let's just roll with that. That can't be another band, even though there probably is other bands. And obviously a very important song to the rock world called One Step Closer. But yeah, hey, I mean, maybe it helps us a little bit. Who knows?
Yeah, it could. I mean, like you said, the acronym definitely rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, and it's something I felt like as we were kind of starting, like it was just something that people could remember easily,
right?
And we use OSC on so much. We literally just did a tee last night that we're like mocking up for the next tour that literally has OSC on the front of it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
the letters look good together. They're all like rounded. It's cool.
Yeah.
So your first full length was this place
mm-hmm.
and it's was out through Run for Cover. How did your relationship with Run for Cover start? How did that happen?
So fast.
Yeah, crazy fast. It was we put out the EP. So we literally were just doing EPs forever, pretty much, and just promos and just kind of trying to find our bearings a little bit, and then we recorded From Me to You. That's our EP that we put out on Triple B Records, and we put that out in January of like 2019, and that was like our first kind of like, okay, people are paying attention to us kind of thing. You know what I mean? People know who we are. We're playing more stuff. We got asked to play like the big Have Heart reunions. We played, we did a full US that year for the first time, and like, kind of started doing a lot of stuff. And then the pandemic happened, and for some reason, somehow we found out that like Run for Cover was like, yo, like we really want them, you know what I mean, and want them to like do their LP with us. Like we would love to kind of take them on and see what happens. And I heard that and called Ross, and then literally the next day we were on a call with them. Like it happened like overnight,
so fast.
And we were on a call with them, and then we signed a contract literally a week later. Like it was like,
yeah,
it was so fast and just out of nowhere. Shout out Bob Shed for calling me and letting me know that was happening.
Kind of holding our hand.
Yeah, he like held our hand through the process of that completely.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it was it happened so fast, and like honestly, that I'm so happy because they are some of the best people, and they treat us so well, and they're so down with all of our crazy ideas for merch and just like
Very
stupid things.
Us,
yeah, they're so patient, and they're just so about what we're doing, and it's nice to have like the record label be as supportive as they are,
Yeah, that's cool. I feel like we're like good friends with them too, so it doesn't feel like weird, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're the homies, straight up. They'll come to whatever, like they'll come see us whenever we're like in the area and stuff, but it feels like we're just kicking it. It's not like
we're just bullshitting the whole time.
Yeah, we're just hanging out, we'll go get food or do whatever, and just like, I don't know, we're not even really talking like business half the time. It's just like catching up kind of thing, which is nice.
Now, do they help with like the touring process, or like setting stuff up for you, or anything like that, or maybe making certain connections for you?
More so for like promotional stuff, I'd say.
Yeah.
Okay. Like they right now Brian is like making the cereal. Like we're doing cereal, and he
so sick.
he came up with the idea, I think as a joke, and we were like, no, we should do that.
We were obsessed with the idea immediately.
So he's like right now printing out the cardboard and like doing it all himself in his house, and like
he's like in the apartment literally just making the cereal boxes and just like putting them all together. They're mainly doing like promotional stuff like Ross was saying, and then we have like a booking agent and we have management and stuff now, so we kind of have like a full team of people that are all kind of doing different things, which is fun. Kind of relieves us of some stress, and we kind of just get to like really focus in on the band and, you know, the things that we have to do. Like right now with the record rollout, currently, like it's been busy and like super, super busy with just like, you know, different phone calls for different things and interviews and kind of making sure we have deadlines for all these different things that we have to do. And since we're pretty self-sufficient on like most things for the band, like it's really kind of up to Ross and I to kind of get this stuff done for the most part. So
yeah, I've been like iPad baby for like sitting at home just working on art, trying to make sure everything's like done.
Yeah,
it's cool. And then we're also doing beanies that like I'm like hand making in my room, just like trying my best to get all of them done in time.
And they look sick. They're like they're turning out so good. It's just like a lot of time that we have to like really put on the side to make sure that we get everything done and everybody's happy.
So you guys, I mean, have toured quite a bit already, even as a young band, and you've been around the world to, you know, Europe and Japan and Southeast Asia, Australia. What has those experiences been like? Is it just kind of a whirlwind? Do you get to kind of see the sights a little bit, get to know people at all, or is it just kind of get to the next show kind of thing?
Healthy mix.
Yeah.
Okay, for sure. I feel like Southeast Asia, it was like...
It's crazy.
You would land, crash at someone's floor, and then immediately get up at like 4 a.m., get on the plane. And
or
then,
just not sleep at all.
Yeah. Sleep on the plane. Southeast
plane.
Asia was crazy, for sure. But usually, like, even there, like, we've made some, like, good friends, and then, like, Australia, Japan. Usually anywhere you go, like, I feel like we make homies at, you know... It's like pretty. I think that's like just comes with touring, you know.
Yeah.
So meet people, stay at their house, or like play a show with them, and you end up hanging out and like just building a connection there.
Japan and like I mean all those places, everyone is so accommodating and just very like sweet and super nice to us and
just stoked a band's playing.
Yeah, like for Japan, like we had our homie Koba and like KD
Hiroto.
and Hiroto and like literally like they just took us around everywhere. They were like, you know, we had hotels every single night in Japan because like they would book everything for us. They rented the van and they took us around everywhere. It was all kind of like part of like their offer to get us out there to tour and stuff. And they'd be like, all right, 7 a.m. van call. We want to go see this site and this and this, and then we'll load in. And you guys won't even sound check because we would rather get you to like really cool places than to sound check. And we're just like, yeah, let's do it. Like we don't even care. Like we'll just get up there and we'll do a quick line check and we'll just rip it. Yeah, we'll hope for the best. And honestly, it was one of the best experiences of my entire life.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that, you know, going and meeting all those people, even like all of our homies in Australia that we met, like some of like my favorite people that I've ever met. Were on that side of the world, and they're just so sweet, and I can't wait to hopefully, you know, see them again. I think we have some plans to like do stuff out there next year that are kind of starting to come together. So I think we'll definitely get to see them soon.
Yeah, I have a sticker on my guitar. When we were in Japan, we did like a photo booth thing, and I have like a KD, Koba, and Hiroto. On my guitar, and I showed them like, yo, like I'm putting this on my guitar, and they just went, family, and that like shook me. So I'm never taking it off.
Yeah,
they're so cool.
They're everyone's just so nice. Yeah.
That's like that. Japan and Australia are definitely like my favorite places just on Earth in general.
Yeah,
like right under Wilkes-Barre for sure.
Well, it's got to be amazing. I mean, when you play here in the States, you go to another place you've never been before, and people are singing along your lyrics and stuff. That's got to be great. But then to go overseas and have that kind of experience, like that's got to be unreal.
Yeah, it's completely unreal.
Very surprised that they were, honestly.
Yeah, like even going to Japan, and we like heard people kind of talking, like being like, yeah, your first time in Japan might be a little tough because like people don't really know you out there potentially, and like, you know, in some other places it's a little easier, like just because I feel like Europe is a little bit more connected to like what's going on in the States, especially with hardcore and stuff like that. Like I feel like they're paying attention more. But we went out to Japan and we like, I think there was only one show that wasn't sold out, and like we played like this legendary venue called Anti-Knock, and it was like one of the craziest OSC sets like I think we've ever played. It was insane. And like we were like, I thought this was supposed to be like kind of like
but
yeah, like you kind of just go for the experience, and you don't really know how people are gonna like receive you, and like it was just really, really good for us. And
Yeah,
even
it was like a cartoon.
Yeah.
That show. Like I just looked up and I just saw like limbs, like legs, just in the air, straight up.
It was so sick.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think even going to Europe and the UK and just having people just in other countries like know the words and be able to, play to these people and play like Outbreak Fest, which is like we're playing in front of like 6,000 or 7,000 people, and they're all from like UK and Europe for like I'd say the most part, and they all like know the words and are just going insane. Like it's really a surreal feeling, honestly. That Outbreak set that we played last year was probably, I would say, if not my favorite OSC set ever, it's like number 2 for sure. And like, yeah, I don't know. We're super grateful for that kind of stuff, though. It always feels really good.
Yeah, it's cool talking to people from like Germany or Japan or anywhere where their first language isn't English. They always say that they use like American bands as like a way to learn the language. So they'll like take the lyrics, translate them, and then like, you know what I mean, they'll sing along to it, but it's like them also practicing it, you know what I mean? Which is really smart, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I never thought of like finding like a German band and like learning the words and then, you know what I mean?
Seeing how it translates and stuff.
Yeah. It's really interesting how they value American bands over there, because it's also like it's a learning thing for them, but also when we make the trip out there, they're so grateful and they are aware of like how hard it is to go out there and how expensive it is. So like I feel like they go off extra hard for American bands, which is cool.
Yeah.
They put on pretty hard. It's cool. I love them.
Nice. Now, I'm sure when you come back from these trips, people want to hear all your stories and things like that. Do you have like a go-to like tour story or a memory or something that just kind of sticks out as like, oh yeah, that's the one I got to tell people?
Well, I mean, there was one that is a very long story that we got asked about a lot because we
love to Indonesia.
Yeah, loved all the Indonesia kids, and I really hope to be back there at some point soon. But I mean,
Fuck the rat.
Yeah, we got screwed on a show out there because we didn't they didn't buy us work visas like they were supposed to, and they were just like, oh, just get the regular visiting visa and you'll be fine. Like you get it at the airport. I was like, all right. So we get the regular visa. Everything's chill. We get to the first show. There's so many kids there and so many people that are stoked. And like right before we play our set, they're like, the immigration's here.
Yeah, they're like, yo, the cops are outside. Don't worry, we'll handle it. Just go up and play.
Yeah.
So like we're just like, okay, because we've heard that like happen. So like the cops will come and like you pay them off. So we were like, all right, like sure, you know what I mean? And then we play, and we get off stage, and me and Ryan are like taking pictures of people like talking to the fools. And then Connor comes up, who was playing drums, and he is like such a sweetie, but like he was so scared. He runs up to us and is like not making eye contact and just like, yo, the cops are inside. Just like looking around, like not. And we were like, so like, should we run? And he's like, no. Like, do we hide? He's like, yeah, meet in the green room like right now.
Yeah.
And then he immediately books into the green room, like turns and just runs. And then we're just like in the green room till like 4 a.m. Like
it was insane, dude.
Just hiding from the cops and like
there was no back exit, so it was like we were in the green room and it was like we either go out, and pretty much there was so many of them that they were like just do what they had to say. So they take they take us in this van down to like the immigration office. It's literally like 3 or 4 in the morning by the time we get there. It's so late, and they're like.
Us in Roll Call.
Yeah,
another
us in this band called
Love to Roll Call. Thank you for
thank you for everything. Straight up. But yeah, they were just pretty much like, we need to take your passports. We need to make sure that you guys are legitimate and like all this stuff. And they're like, if you don't give us your passports, we're gonna throw you in jail. And it was like a whole thing. I didn't even tell my parents about it because I was like, I know they're gonna freak out if I tell them. I'm on the complete opposite side of the world. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think we told anyone back home until like it was almost settled what was happening.
Well, remember, like,
we called up on it.
Yeah, because of our manager, who wasn't even our manager at the time, we were just like getting to know her, and like we didn't even land on who we were gonna have as for management. And she calls me like randomly, and she's like, are you guys like literally in Indonesia, like stuck in jail? And I was like, there's a crazy situation happening. And like, it was like this whole thing. And I think honestly from there, like, I was like, okay, this lady needs to be our manager because she cares. And like, she was like trying to help us. She's like, if you guys need anything, like literally please call me. I will do whatever I can to help you. And
she just went mom mode. I think she was just
did.
freaking out with us.
Yeah, it was awesome. And yeah, so shout out to Bon. She's the best. She's also from Scranton, so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But then like after they took our passports, they were pretty much like, come back tomorrow, give us X amount of money, and you can have it back. I don't know if we should even be saying this because we're planning on going back, but something happened.
It was all good.
Way.
Everything was good. It all ended up being fine.
Yeah.
We got our passports back. Yeah, we got our passports back. We left immediately.
Yeah. We did leave immediately.
And then we flew out to Singapore, and it was all good. Yeah, and then everything was fine. But it was... We're skipping like 3 days of details, and the details are very crazy.
So insane.
But it is a story that I feel like we got asked about so much, where we would just sit down and be like, all right, it's gonna be like 30 minutes of explaining to you.
Dude,
you know,
love to Mo. Shout out Mo.
Shout out Mo.
If you're watching, man, he like was just a local kid who didn't need to, but he like stayed up with us till 4 a.m, went to the place with us, like had our back, let us know who to trust, who we shouldn't trust, and
he was like our guide. He was like, he was really like sticking his neck out for us. It was
dude, yeah, I love that dude. He also is a psycho. Like he's just a crazy human being, but he's a real one for sure. Yeah. Next time we go out there, I definitely want him in the van with us.
For sure.
Yeah.
So keeping all these kind of experiences and things in mind, you guys obviously reflect a lot about Wilkes-Barre and your music, and you guys are pretty proud to be from there. What is it that you feel is special about the local scene, maybe specifically punk and hardcore scene in Wilkes-Barre?
I think just talking to people from out of the state, even before like I was in a band, and hearing people compare Wilkes-Barre to the New York scene, or be like, yeah, like the Wilkes-Barre scene is cool, so is like, I don't know, the Connecticut scene, or like comparing our small town to these states, and being like, oh damn, like we have something, you know what I mean? Like the Wilkes-Barre Scranton area is like very special to the music scene as a whole, I think,
Plus, like all the legendary bands that have come out of here, I feel like especially coming into music at the time, like I was like, why are there so many cool bands from here that are like popular and like well known like throughout the country and the world even, and I think that really kind of made an impact on us, just being like, there is something so special here. And then we started going to shows and really experiencing like what it is here, and I really just think there's such a good sense of community, and everyone really looks out for each other and supports each other. And I think that's even goes to say with like local business here in general, like in Northeast PA, where I feel like everyone's way more willing to go to the local business than go to like Walmart or something, what I mean, or like some kind of like big corporation. And I think it goes to show as well with the music scene, where people just support each other and people put on, and we try to do the same thing for like all the bands coming up now, and we try to like put on just for our scene, and I think there's just something special, and there's just special bands that come out of here, and it's really cool to see it and just experience it, honestly.
Yeah, I think too, like growing up and going to shows, seeing all the local bands just have so much pride for the area. Like I can't remember one band that was ever like, man, my hometown sucks, like I hate Wilkes-Barre, we gotta leave, da-da-da. Where you see that like all over, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
people complaining about their hometown, but it's always been like, we love Wilkes-Barre, this place is amazing, you know what I mean? Like, so I feel for us it's like just natural to be like, yeah, it's awesome. Why wouldn't we ride for our hometown,
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny too, talking to all different kind of walks of life, it's interesting that like outside of the scene, because I live this stuff. I talk to bands every week. We do an open mic, all that kind of stuff. So I'm constantly talking to people, and so I kind of take for granted that everybody knows who these people are. And then you talk to maybe somebody outside of that, and they're like, "What's a title fight? Who's the Tigers Jaw?"
Yeah,
They have no idea that that's happening, like literally right under their noses.
Yeah.
And like that's crazy to me. Like the fact that I think a perfect example is the Hyperview mural.
Yeah.
You have people who will drive hundreds of miles, completely out of state, just to get a picture with that.
Yeah.
And then just go home. Like there might not even be a show or something that they're coming to.
100%.
And then around here, the local city, the city officials didn't even know that was a thing, and they approved a billboard to just be plastered over
So
it, and then
crazy.
people had to fight for it at the last minute to get that changed, and they still did. They kind of ruined it a little bit.
Yeah,
like,
there's some holes in it and stuff. Yeah,
like they touched that, which I mean is just like that's crazy to me. Like that even happened. Like that they're not even aware that that's a cultural thing.
Of how important that is, yeah.
Yes.
I know people were coming in from like Texas, from California, from like Michigan, like all across. You know what I mean? People were saying they're going to fly in from Germany to get a picture of it, before it's gone. Like that, like devastated so many people when they were like planning on taking it away. Yeah. And I think the amount of support from just like all around the world to like save it, I think opened some people's eyes and be like, oh, there is something here.
Right.
Maybe we shouldn't do that,
I also think, like, as well as Title Fight is such an important band to people, but John Slaby, who did did the mural and stuff, like, he was such a talented artist, and, like, even now, like, and then, it would have been very crushing to see his work get covered up by some stupid billboard. And, he has since passed, and but I think now there's even a bigger appreciation for the mural in terms of like a lot of people locally just being like, this is Slavy's art, and this is something important to us and important to Title Fight and all these people, and I'm just like thankful that we still have it. We just had so many people, I feel like, in from out of town that were crashing with us and stuff, and I think we ended up we've probably been to the Hyperview mural like 5 times in the last month. Yeah, just from like taking people there, and like, and I don't know, it's just,
it's like a beacon.
Yeah, it is. It's a beacon, and it's right in the heart of like downtown Wilkes-Barre, which is really cool.
Yeah. I think too it like shows like younger kids like, oh, this band's from our area, like we can do that too. You know what I mean? I think it's like, for me it was like a motivating thing, like, oh, if they can do it, I can do it, and like seeing that every day, just skating through Wilkes-Barre, was just like a reassuring thing.
It's funny too. It makes me feel feel pretty old. When they were putting out Floral Green, I did their interview for that back when I was working for The Weekender. And
oh, awesome!
I did the cover story for that, and that was the first time that I had actually met the band. I was aware of their first album, and I knew who they were and stuff, but I hadn't sat down and talked to them before that and stuff. And it was so cool. They were such great guys, so humble, and it's interesting now to see bands like yourselves who look up to those guys or were influenced by, grew up with their albums and things like that. And I'm like, and I did that album when I did the interview with them when it was coming out, and now I'm old enough to see bands influenced by the album.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that record in general, like, I remember my dad picked me up from my friend's house, and he was like, hey, I saw this at Gallery of Sound, so I bought it for you, and it was just the Floral Green CD. And I punished him with that CD. And I know he definitely didn't love it, and that's okay, like, but I was just so excited, and like, it was just such a nice, like, thing that my dad, was, like, looking out for me like that. I was just like, hey, I saw that band that you liked put out a record, you know what I mean? But, I mean, that's just been such an impactful record in general. I feel like everything that they've done has been such an impactful thing on, us as people, and, One Step Closer as a band as well. But I think we're inspired by, like, every band around here that's done it and still continues to do it, even bands like Tiger's Jaw and even Breaking Benjamin. That band's huge. Yeah. And like it's in Motionless in White as well. That band's also huge. And I'm seeing all these other bands that are like that we're friends with, like Knocked Loose, and all these big bands that are now kind of like seeing them transcend into like that kind of thing, and I'm like, wow, I mean, these bands that you're touring with are literally like Wilkes-Barre Scranton bands, you know. It's cool to see it. It really is. So yeah, it's just a big inspiration, like the music scene in general here for us as a band.
Yeah, going to see like Cold World and seeing everyone wear like Wilkes-Barre on their shirts, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
he has the Wilkes-Barre tattoo across his back. I think
so hard, and just seeing just people like stoked on the area, and like seeing Title Fight for the first time and saying they're from Kingston, and like the crowd just being so like hyped on that, you know, just like being like, yeah, I'm from there too. Yeah, that's my city. I think that's cool. That like always like just made me stoked to see people just hyped on the area in general, you know,
right,
because of these bands and like what they did.
Yeah.
I feel like for us that's like a huge reason why we're like put on for our area so hard, because we want like kids to like look at what we're doing and go to a show and be like, oh, people are stoked on Wilkes-Barre. That's cool. Like I want to do that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you've just kind of doing some background and research about this upcoming album. You guys seem to be pretty proud of it. You feel like it's your best work yet. Let's talk a little bit about how that came together. Were you kind of doing this between tours, or did you kind of take some time off and sit down and to get this done?
I mean, we were writing for a while, but I feel like throughout this past summer, we didn't really have too much going on. I think we did one European tour that we did like some festivals, and we did like Outbreak and some stuff out there. But for the most part, like, you know, June through August was like, let's like really sit down and crunch this record out, because we had a lot of demos. We were doing a lot of different things, and then that summer is when we really kind of took the time just to be like, let's just keep writing as much as we possibly could, because like our studio time was September through mid-October, and we were just like, let's go in with as much music as we possibly can, like so much music that we literally have to just narrow it down to the best stuff that we possibly have and make the record as cool as possible, you know. And really that's what we did. We spent like the whole summer writing. We spent months before that writing, and then once we got to the studio, we were able just to pick out of like 20 some songs and really narrow it down to like this record. Like we put it together in like a sequence of like how the record would flow together, and if the songs vibe together, and if it feels like really cohesive. And once we landed on like what the record was gonna be, we were just like, this is perfect. Like this is exactly what we wanted it to be.
Yeah, I think we wrote 25 songs altogether, and then when we were going to the studio, we narrowed it down in the car to like 15. I think.
15 that we were like really stoked on.
Yeah, and then we spent the first 2 days just like with John being like, what do you think now? Like, how should we like structure it? And then we got it down to, I think then like 12, and then we recorded 12 songs, and then from there we were like, okay, we should just do this 11 because this flow feels the best. And
because originally we were just gonna do 10 songs, and then I had a song that I was like really pushing for at first, and I feel like everyone was like, oh, like I don't know. And I was like, and I was like, we need to record it. Like we needed to see it through. Like that's gonna be the 12th song that we just need to see through. And we did, and now it's on the record.
I remember when Ryan showed me the song for the first time, I was like, this is going to open or close the record. And then once we wrote everything else, I was like, that should not be on the record. That does not fit.
Yeah.
And then I remember it was like 3 a.m. We just got to the hotel room when we got the mixes back. And I turned to Ryan, and I shook his hand, and I was like, I was wrong. This should end the record.
Yeah.
I was like,
and I was like half asleep, and I was just like, all right. And then we just walked up the stairs to the hotel room, and that was it. But yeah, I mean, when we were hearing those mixes back, and that song, I feel like that song really came together, and that was a song that I was like, I know this could be like such a cool, impactful feeling song if we just do it the right way, and if it's mixed the right way, and if it just like, it just needs to come together more. And then I feel like when we were getting those mixes, I was like, this is exactly what I was hoping it would, you know, feel like. And now, I mean, Ross said it either open or close the record, and it's closing the record now. So we went back and figured it out. So
So we do a little segment on the show called The Breakdown, where we go track by track on an artist's latest release to hear the inspiration and stories behind each song. This can be about the lyrics, the composition, the recording, whatever you think is maybe the most interesting aspect of that song.
Cool.
So this is your second full-length album called All You Embrace. Be released on, for those of you at home, the CD, vinyl, digital, all major streaming platforms next Friday, May 17th.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. The first track is Color You.
Yes. So let's see. The most interesting thing about Color You. I think my favorite thing about this song, when we were demoing this song at our friend Eric Chesick, who is from Scranton, he lives on Long Island now, but he's like our guy. We demo everything with him, and he's done so much for us. I love him. But we were demoing the song, and we were like putting it together a little bit more there, and Ross was doing this awesome harmonic part at the end of the song. And it literally, I heard it and I was like, this might be like, at that point we had, a good amount of songs written, and I was like, this might be like my favorite guitar thing on the entire record. And I still get chills when I like listen to the song and it hits the end of like, it's like the last chorus of the song, and I'm like, this is like big brain shit. Like, this is like so good.
I go hard.
Yeah, he goes hard. And yeah, that was like, I mean, I love that song in general, and I think it's a perfect opener for a record, but that, when we were demoing that was like my favorite thing for sure.
Yeah. I remember when we were doing, like, fully recording it, we wanted that to be the opener, and I wanted, like, something to, like, lead into it a little bit, like, kind of, like, set the atmosphere rather than just, like, a build-up into it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So me and Eric went outside with our phones, just like at our sides, recording sounds, just like walking, trying to get like bugs and like the grass. Just
it was smart though, like people like walking and like different things, and then you mash it together.
Yeah, and then like we just locked in, and like whenever me and Eric, like our minds meet, it's so good.
It's the meeting of the mind.
We
crazy. Yeah.
we started like placing the capo all crazy on the guitar and like doing tapping stuff, just making atmospheric noises.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's like a weird sound or like lead in the beginning of that song that I think it's impossible for one person to play it live, because his hands were on the neck and like my hand was all crazy, and I'm just like, it's just, I don't know. It was fun.
It was really fun. Yeah. It was cool. And I feel like we were like, oh yeah, we're gonna get a bunch of stuff done like in the studio that night, and then
it was just me and Eric.
It was just them for like 3 hours, like just doing whatever, and then they're just like, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, we were so stoked, and it's like maybe 5 seconds.
Yeah,
we're like, this is amazing.
Sometimes that's a very important 5 seconds.
Yeah,
it is.
That tends to be me and Eric's vibe. We'll just like get hyper fixated on one thing, and we're just like hyping each other up, like this is awesome, and then we take a step back and we're like, oh, we need to like move on. And it's like 3 days past. That's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Next up we have Leap Years.
This song was originally going to not have a chorus at all, and it was just going to be like a punk song. Like, it was just gonna be super fast and then have like a really cool like outro like bridge thing. Kind of more like a I don't know, because I felt like we were lacking with like really like fast like punk kind of stuff on the record, and I was like, I just want to write something like that feels like it could have been on an older record but feels like new and a little bit more like thought out, I guess. And then when we were demoing it, we actually demoed it with we demoed it before, and then we took it to Matt Karekis from Citizen.
Oh, okay.
And we kind of just worked on a couple songs there, just like demoing out ideas and kind of just like throwing it at the wall and kind of seeing what fits, you know what I mean, with different ideas and stuff. And when we got there and we were talking about adding a chorus to it, we were just like going back and forth on like a melody for the chorus. And when we landed on the melody and then did it, I was like, this sounds insanely cool. Like, it was so like anthemic and catchy, but it felt like the band, you know what I mean? Like, It was cool. And I feel like as soon as we did that, and that was the first song that we like fully demoed there. I was like, yeah, this is gonna be probably one of the singles. Like I knew it before, like, you know, the whole record was even done, and then it ended up being the first single, which is cool. But yeah, I love that song. It's so fun to play.
Yeah, that was the first time hearing it. It just felt almost like a step backwards in terms of like progression. So I wanted to like try and make it like a little bit more dancey. And then once we started adding choruses and like I threw that little like lead over it and like the end and all that, it came together pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
That I think that song is a lot of fun to play live. I hate that it's like the one lead is only on like the one string. So I'm a little bored on stage doing it, but it's cool. It's fun. It's very dancey, which I like.
Yeah, cool. It gives you like a lot of room to kind of just move around because you don't really have to. The song is pretty simple to play, and it is more open just to like moving around and kind of going crazy. But the reception to that song on the last tour, like we put it out on the Leap Day, the first day of the last trio tour that we did with Koyo and Anxious, and like every single night it was just more and more people singing along, and even the first night. We literally put it out like 12 hours before the show, and there were people singing the words and, you know, knew the song. Smart. And I was like, I think we did something right here.
The first night, I remember thinking people are just mush-mouthing. Like, I was like, there's no way they know what's happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, yeah, that song, too, I feel like as soon as, like, we, like, got the mixes back, finished it, I instantly had an idea for, like, a music video for it. And then being able to, like, fully get that going and executing it the right way was very I guess fulfilling for me, you know. Just doing that with Derek and Dave and spending 2 days at Connor's house just filming all around the area.
It was awesome.
It was so cool. Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
That, and I feel like also like that song in general, I feel like kind of just it just has like a vibe to it that I think people, as soon as we put it out, it's like not too far away from what we were doing, but new enough, you know, to people that it kind of grabbed them. So I think it was kind of the perfect song to put out first, just so like we didn't lose people yet, because then I feel like Giants Despair was next, and that is a little different vibe, but we'll get there when we get there as well.
Right. So yeah, next up is Blur My Memory.
We're actually putting that song out soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know when, but it'll come out soon.
Yeah, it's coming out. It's coming out a couple of days before the record. So if anybody's listening, now you know. But yeah, I'm stoked on that song too. It's another kind of faster song that we did, and it has a stupidly catchy chorus as well. Like I don't know, we were just writing hooks on these choruses this time around, and honestly, like
we really focused on that.
Yeah, like we were really trying to dial in like because I was trying to push myself a little bit more vocally and kind of do a little bit more singing and stuff like that. And yeah, I think this song turned out really cool. And it kind of has more of like it has like kind of like a breakdown in it, which is cool. Yeah.
We call it the friendship breakdown.
Yeah. It's cool.
Me and Coleman go back and forth. It's fun.
It's like a call and response part. Yeah. And it's really fun. I'm super excited to play that one live because I feel like that's going to be another song that's really translated the best like live, kind of like how Leap Years has been as well.
Dude, I'll be real. I fucking hated that song when we first did it. We did that with the homie Isaac from Knocked Loose, and we were just like we did it, and he was like doing like just like mush mouth lyrics over, just trying to like throw ideas down, and he did like just the my spirit because we were doing like a bit where it was like just I don't know. Ranking bands off how much spirit they have or something like you go to a show and you want to buy a shirt but it's like man only have like 20 spirit tonight, like 20 spirit, like
dude
it's so dumb and like saying it like this it's not that funny but in the moment we were like crying, we thought it was so funny, so like that line was just like my spirit and like I thought it was a joke, so I was fine with it. I was like yeah that's cool and then we recorded it, and I heard Ryan say, like, something close to that, but in that melody, and I was like, we can't actually do that. We need to, like, be serious here. And I was just so bummed for a bit on it. But now listening back without hearing my spirit in, because
it's so different.
Yeah,
when you listen back without that.
Like the demo of it is really
It's so funny.
Was that the song too? We were doing like Creed vocals. For
we were mush mouthing like crazy stuff over it,
Yeah.
like just to get like harmonies and stuff, and just like melodies on things. And I think the whole song is just mush mouth, and then that part in particular is just my spirit. Like that's all. Like those are probably the only 2 words you could hear throughout the entire song that are audible, and everything else is just like humming like different things and saying weird ass shit. But it was I feel like Ross was a big hater, and then like I feel like our team was like so stoked on that song.
I was like,
and
no,
he was like, "There's no way you guys
can't
like this."
Yeah.
And I was like, "I told you it's cool." Like,
Sometimes I'm wrong. You know.
Sometimes.
The song does rock though. It's
Yeah.
cool. The end when it goes to like the breakdown part, that was also I feel like kind of a bit because I was like, oh Coleman, it would be cool if like you had your part and then you like looked over at me and I had my part just on like homie shit, and then we put that in there and it sounds cool, but it was like also a bit why that's happening.
Yeah. The whole song together, I feel like, was started as like a joke, and now we're just like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. You know,
we like finished it like the demoing of it at 4 a.m, and we're all just our stomachs hurt just from laughing because we were just joking around the whole time just recording it.
It was so fun.
But it came out really cool.
Yeah,
I was stoked. I'm stoked on it now. It grew on me.
It'll be really funny later if somebody comes up to you and you're like, that song means so much to me personally.
I mean, it might.
It might.
It might.
Yeah, we put a lot of thought on that song. That was very artistic.
Yeah.
Took it very serious.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Say a prayer.
All right, next up is The Gate.
Oh, the song rocks.
Yeah, I love this song.
The ending of this song, I remember we had the idea to who did we was I think this was also we did a writing session with Matt for this one, I believe.
Yeah, I had this song kind of like I had a whole like progression and like the whole structure of the song pretty much done.
Yeah.
On guitar, and we took it to Matt. I didn't demo it or record it or anything, but I just like showed him the song, and then we kind of, I feel like it didn't even change like too much from what we originally had, but we just added some kind of flair to it that just like made it so sick. And then we added like a little like acoustic guitar outro.
Dude, Ryan hated it.
I
thought it
hated
was
it.
so cool. It like
I did hate
it
it.
just comes in so good, and I don't know, for a good like month we kept being like, we need to have that, and Ryan's like, dude, no, they're gonna make fun of me. We can't
Yeah.
we can't have that. It's too soft.
It was very soft.
It was so soft.
But
it's so cool.
Yeah, and at the same part, like the song, it's a softer song. It's way more of like a very emo like kind of song. It's not really even a hardcore song like at all.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, but it is like listening back and listening to the outro and having the acoustic, even down to like the last like time we were talking about it in the studio, I was still like, no, I don't want it. It's like too soft. And then I finally was just like, fine, like we'll do it. And we literally took the demo acoustic and put it at the end of the song because it was just like, it was just too good. And it just ended up being like, I don't know, there was just something about it, like where you're like, there's really no need to recreate it because it just sounds cool the way that it is, you know?
Yeah.
So the actual ending of the song is from the demo, which is cool.
Yeah, I think too, going into this record, for This Place You Know, I just tried doing, like lead-wise, adding whatever I thought was cool. Not really thinking about what it adds to the song, but more so if I just thought it sounded cool. Where for this record, I really wanted to make sure if I was going to add something, it moved the song in a certain way or created something that added to the song rather than helping me not be bored on stage, you know. And I think for that song specifically, the kind of like the second verse is just so like dancey and movie. I'm happy with how that came out. I think that might be my favorite lead on the record, or one of my favorite things I've done on that record, at least, you know.
Yeah.
Next up we have Your Hazel Tree.
This one,
Say a prayer.
yeah, Say a Prayer. This one is How can I describe this one?
It's
Well,
angry.
it's very angry.
I think it's the most angry song.
Yeah.
The only song I think we have aggression within it.
Especially like lyrically, I feel like I don't really write from a very aggressive standpoint. For not always, but for the most part, I feel like it's a little bit more self-reflective in the lyrics on things or like issues and things that I'm kind of experiencing and just wanting to kind of put down on paper, where I kind of see the band as like my outlet. And at this point in time, I was very angry about something that was happening and like wanted to just put it in a song. And I don't even think anybody knew that I was writing about that, because at the time, like, it was a song that, like, one of the few songs that I had to finish writing lyrics in the studio for. And I was like, I'm writing exactly about this, and I'm just gonna be super angry. And like, I mean, I love that song. I do really like that song. It's a song that kind of just coming out of like a softer song back into the record, into like stuff that's more like One Step Closer. It really like bridges that gap perfectly, and it's like the perfect song to go out to come in after the gate. But yeah, I don't know, you just have to listen to it for yourself and kind of pick apart the lyrics a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I've listened to the record, or at least like listened to it with the intent of knowing the song names. Was this the one that I had like the opening riff and then the verse? And then...
Yeah, and then we kind of structured it together.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I took those riffs to Isaac, and then we built that song together, and it came out really cool. I'm very stoked on that song. It's weird to have an aggressive song, because even for the gate, there's like a breakdown, but we call it like melodic mosh, where we want people like crying in the pit, But that one is
each
like,
other.
Yeah, embracing your friends. But nah, that song is will probably be the angriest song we'll ever do.
Yeah, for sure.
We usually like just keep it sad.
We're softies, yeah.
Next up, we have Orange Leaf, which that is also available. Like now, people can
listen
to this one now.
Yeah, Orange Leaf was a song that Ross had for, like, he had a couple riffs, and I remember we met up and we literally just structured the song on like my grandfather's like front porch, and it was like right at the beginning of the summer, I remember, and it's like I think the first song that we ever did in Drop D. Right?
Yeah.
It's the first song we ever did in Drop D. There's another song on the record that's also in Drop D, which is the next song in this list. But it was the first time we ever did a song in Drop D, and it was the first time that I ever like really kind of played in Drop D like that much. Like I played like maybe doing some covers and stuff like that in Drop D, but it was the first time like actually like helping write in Drop D. And that song's so fun. That song's gonna be so sick live too, I think.
Yeah.
That one's just like an immediate, like, as soon as you hear that beginning thing, you just like, it makes me want to stage dive. Like that's how I feel when I hear it. And that was a fun one to record as well, because I feel like it was just super, like, it's a song that's like pretty easy to play, and the guitar tone is just like that we were able to capture is just so kind of heavy feeling. Like, I don't know, it just feels cool. So when we were recording that, it was fun.
Yeah, I was trying to do, I guess, like a basement kind of band for a bit, and so I wrote a demo with my friend Caleb, and it just was never gonna happen, because we're gone so much, and we were just playing the songs in our bedrooms, So I took all the riffs that I wrote and tried piecing it together in one song, and then I sat with Ryan and we came up with something that we thought was cool, and yeah, I'm stoked on that song. The every lead, I think every part of that song I'm doing a lead on it, which kind of sucks because I really like that riff, but yeah. And then the name of that song, we give everything like joke names or just like random stuff in the beginning just to kind of put something down, and I just said Orange Leaf just first, and that came to my mind. And then it stuck, and then Ryan wrote
lyrics around it. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
There's another song on here that we actually kept the name for from the demo too. But yeah, that one was like, Orange Leaf just sounds cool. I don't know. We were kind of just like that's interesting. We always talk about like I mean, the first song is called Color You. We always talk about colors. We have a song called Dark Blue. That's like a thing. But yeah, I love that song. We haven't played it yet live, so I'm really excited to play it soon.
Yeah, we're very tuned into colors.
Now this one, is it Ezruck?
Yes, Ezruck. Yeah. This one's also a drop D. This might be my favorite song on the record, if not like my second favorite song on the record.
This is my favorite song on the record.
And we were going back and forth whether to put this one out as the last single before the record or Blur My Memory.
And I am gutted that we
yeah. But we were kind of outvoted on that one, I feel, and you know, sometimes you got to listen to you know, the people around you just being like, "Oh, no, I think we should do this." Like, you know, they at least I feel like everybody has our best interest in mind for the most part. And yeah, so I just hope that people like this song. You know what I mean? Like, I like, this is one song where I'm like, I hope people make it to this part of the record and hear this song and they're like, why didn't they put this out as a single? Because this song, like, I really so badly want this song to go off live, like, dude, so bad.
Yeah.
Like, so bad. Just because it would just be so
cool.
fun and it's so cool. And I feel like we just keep saying that this record is cool, but I think we're just genuinely like so like excited about what we were able to do, you know? And like this song was so like outside the box for us, and I feel like we really like owned it on this, and it feels really cool.
Yeah. This, like, when we went into writing it, we this was another one we worked on with Isaac, and going into the song, like, we didn't have any riffs or anything like that. We were just like, let's try and write a song like Sunny Day Real Estate. And so Isaac just closed his eyes and went, give me a second, and he just had an idea, and we just started building off of it, and it just came out so cool. And yeah, the name of the record, or the name of the song, Ezruck, Ryan came up with that, and it I like to say it's like a Harry Potter reference.
That's how I think of it too. Yeah. And I figured you would like it. Like when I sent it to Ross, I was like, I know he's gonna love this because it kind of is like
a Mirror of Erised, like because it's cool.
Yeah.
I was like so stoked because Ryan sent that. And I was like, dude, like Harry Potter, and then I don't know.
He had like a whole like his brain exploded.
I was going off. It's so cool.
Yeah. It's that song's really, really sweet. I'm that no matter what, even if people don't like that song, I think we're probably gonna play it live.
Whether or not, that is
we're gonna make people like that one. Hopefully.
That is my favorite song to play on guitar right now.
Yeah.
That's my like warm up song at the moment. It's so sick. The lead is the hardest thing. The opening, the ba-na-na-na-na-na-na.
Oh yeah.
I hate playing it. It's so hard, and I'm going to fuck it up live a lot. But the song rocks. It's so good.
It's so good.
Slow to Let Go.
This one was one that I had for a while. I feel like we demoed this one with Eric and.
Is this AC/DC?
Yes, we had it AC/DC because it's in the key of.
A,
right?
Yeah.
It's like. It's a major. It's like one of our first songs that we just did like all major for the most part.
Okay.
Because I feel like we're always in the minor key for the most part on things. But yeah, it's just super like we always say songs are driving, and that doesn't not like driving a car, but just something that's very much like you could like run to it kind of thing, or you want to stage dive to it. It just has like that feeling of like movement kind of thing. And that's how this entire song is. It's really cool. I feel like it kind of fits more in, kind of ties back in the old record a little bit more into this song, where it could maybe be like a Pringle Street kind of song or something like that. But yeah, this song's sick too. It has a really cool like moshy like 2-step part that I think is like one of the coolest riffs that I ever wrote. Like it's just it's sweet. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited about this one too. I don't know how often like we'll play this one, to be honest, unless like people are stoked on it, just because I feel like it's like maybe not like our favorite song on the record, but like it's just a solid song. Like that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. Me and Eric will just write solos as jokes, like on was it As the City Sleeps on the
Yeah.
That whole ending section was just a bit. Me and Eric were just passing the guitar back and forth, just laughing, being like, how crazy could we make this? And then he kept it in, and we were like, oh, that does sound kind of cool.
Yeah.
And for that song, Eric was like, there should be a solo here. And he just whistled into his phone when it was and distorted the whistle. And it sounded...
It was crazy.
It was like so funny because it sounded cool. And then when it came time to record, we were trying to like figure out like how to actually write a solo. And then we listened back and we just figured out how to play the whistle. So,
and that's what stuck.
That's
like,
the solo.
Yeah.
It's just Eric whistling, distorting. It's so cool.
Yeah, because we wrote something else for that section, and we on the first like
we wrote like 3 things.
Yeah, but on the first mix, remember we had that one in there, and we were just like,
my jaw dropped.
Yeah, we're like,
bad.
what the fuck is this?
We can't keep that.
We're like, what is happening? And then we put the old one in. We're like, oh, that's better. That's better.
Yeah.
Like it just, I think it was so ingrained in our heads at that point that we were just like, we can't hear it any other way.
Might have had some, demo-itis.
Yeah, yeah. A little
just
bit.
hearing it so much just became like normal.
Yeah,
you know?
that's the song.
Yeah.
Topanga is up next.
This is the demo name that we kept.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no
That
rhyme or
definitely
reason.
sounds like a demo name.
Yeah.
Why we called it that. I think we finished it and I just said Topanga.
And then we were talking. Is it Boy Meets World?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I honestly like that song is so sick,
That song's
and it
really
has
cool.
such a horrible name.
Yeah. Well, we figured too because it's not like a joke. It's just a random name that I said that just kind of worked. But we figured people would be like, oh, that must be like it's about a girl or something. You know what I mean? It's about Topanga. So. Yeah, it's about Topanga Lawrence from Boy Meets World. Yeah.
Nah, but that song's so cool too. I feel like we were like super like inspired by the Blink self-titled record for a long time, just because it has such a crazy atmosphere to the record as a whole when you listen all the way through. And even though it's like a pop punk record, it felt like really matured and like it felt kind of more like The Cure in a lot of parts. And like they were definitely like heavily inspired by that kind of stuff. So it was cool because like Ross is a big fan of The Cure, and like we both love this Blink self-titled record, and same with our guitar player Coleman. He absolutely loves that record. And I was like, we need to like kind of write a song that has like that kind of vibe to it, and that's what Topanga is to me, at least on this record. And I remember when we were demoing this and like kind of just like there was a part that we slightly changed up, and then Ross did this like lead riff over this one section, and I changed up the chord progression, and it like turned into this really cool like atmospheric feeling like pre-chorus thing, and it was just so cool. And it honestly turned out even better in the studio. And I'm kind of bummed that has a demo name, but it's okay.
I'm pretty stoked it has the demo name, honestly. I think it's cool. But yeah, that was definitely a song where me and Ryan were talking, saying we wanted to try and sound like Blink or have like a vibe of The Cure on it. And as soon as we sat down and started like throwing ideas out, everything we did just was exactly what we wanted. Like, I don't think we really changed much other than that, everything we were throwing down was like, oh, this is exactly what we want right now. Like, it was just we sat down and demo it and like finished writing it in one day, and we finished it like in like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Just super quick, just plowed through it.
It just felt super natural, just like it was kind of just like flowing on its own. Those are like the best songs sometimes, when it's just like you don't really have to think, and you just have to play. And then something just kind of comes out that's like cool.
Yeah. When we finished that and got like the demo back, I wanted that to be a single, like instantly. I was obsessed with that song. I still think that's like one of my favorite songs on the record, but I was surprised that we wrote something that I liked more than that song, which is cool. Shout out to Topanga.
And then we have Giants Despair, which is also out now that people can listen to.
Yeah. I mean, this song I feel like is probably our favorite song that we've ever written, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, like lyrically and just like guitar wise, like everything. I don't know, it just captures such a feeling for us, and we kind of knew that this one had to be a single as well. Like even from like the first rip of like the demo, but it was a riff that Ross had for like a super long time that I was like, I don't really know what to do with it, and like I don't really know how to go about it, because it was such an emo riff that like at the time when he first showed it to me, I was just like, I think this might be a little too much for like where we are and like what this record was, because that was like during like This Place You Know and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then he kind of held on to it for a long time, and then started adding more and more to it, and then had like a pretty good structure of it together. And I was like, you know what, this would be a good one for Matt to kind of like chime in on a little bit and just be like, you know, what do you hear that like maybe we could do this a little different, or like kind of take it this direction or whatever. And I remember we were literally at Matt's, and I was playing bass, he was playing guitar, our guitar player Coleman was playing drums, and the three of us were just playing live like through the song.
Yeah.
And Matt was kind of just like
a conductor.
He was a conductor in a way, where he was just kind of like, we would play the like some of the parts that we already had, and then he would just tell us to stop, and then it would just be like drums for a part, or like I would drop out and the drums would drop out, and then it would just be Ross, and like kind of going through the song that way like really like made it where there's like really really high highs and really low lows, you know, so it was like super dynamic. And that song's like it's my favorite thing that we've ever done.
It really
for sure.
is a journey.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, it feels like when you listen to it from the start to like the very end, when there's like horns and stuff, like yeah, and it was like something, I don't know, that song in the studio like came together so crazy.
Yeah, that song is very special to me, just because I had that riff for a long time, and then started building on it, and then like looking up to Matt so much, like Citizen and even his solo stuff, just him as a songwriter, just I don't know, and being able to like work on that song with him was I was so stoked on it, you know. And I remember showing him like the progression I had at first, and he was just like straight faced, and then he went cool, and then looked at Ryan and Coleman, was like, you guys cool with that American football shit? And they were like, yeah, and he was like, all right, let's get into it. And then immediately we started like working on it, and it came out so cool. And
That American football shit.
I had an idea for like we should like I don't know if it was me or him. I was like, we should drop out, and he was like, dude, we should just go to the major. And I remember the homies from Comeback Kid, they were telling us every time we see them or play a show with them, they're always like, you guys can't be afraid of the major, man. You guys gotta do a song like that. And then I was like, all right, let's just try it. And it just completely put the song, like the ending, in like a new direction. And then he was like playing it, and I came up with like this lead to go over it, like the horn section. And we just like, he was like, oh, do that, and then I'll do this. And we just like locked in for a couple minutes. And then we like finished it, and we played it back, and he just looked at me and was like, you're a genius, dude. That's awesome. And like fist bumped me. And in my head, I was just like, this is so fucking crazy right now. And I just got so stoked. Like just the way that song came together, and being able to like work with like one of my favorite songwriters, just it was just so fulfilling. And having that song for such a long time, and Ryan being like, dude, that song's lame for like a couple of years, you know. And then now like, and then finishing that song, and then, you know, being able to do a music video for it that is just, again, showcasing this area. Like, I think all around that song will forever just have a special place in my heart, you know. Just everything about it is just heartwarming to me.
Yeah, I mean, when you watch that video, it's such a love letter to Wilkes-Barre and the area in general. How did you pick the places that you wanted to like showcase specifically? In that?
Oh, we had a list. We were just rattling names back and forth. Yeah, we were trying to go to places that are like sentimental to us. You know, we went to like there's some clips from us like on the baseball field that like I grew up playing at, and then like Ed's Ice Cream, which is like right down the street from his house, that like we also grew up going to, and
Hoagie Mike's,
the train tracks, like all these places that are like some like places that are just iconic places in Wilkes-Barre that like everybody knows if you're from here, and then also just so many places that we were just like, these mean a lot to us, and this is like what shaped our childhood. And we were just able to like, I don't know, just go and like film. Like we were filming from like 6 or 7 a.m. till like 9 p.m. 2 days in a row of just like get the shot, okay, next place, get the shot, okay, next place. It was just like boom, boom, boom. I think we hit like 25 locations, maybe 26.
Close, yeah, maybe more, bro. I think we hit like close to like 40.
It was a lot.
Was insane. Yeah. That song, I remember when we were in the studio like demoing it. Me and Ryan were talking about like what it should be about, and we wanted it to be about like the idea of failing, and because I dropped out of like college, and we put so much like on like the back burner to like focus on the band and see what we can do with it, and then now like I'm 25 and my peers at my age are buying homes, starting families, like getting promotions in their jobs, and I'm doing this. You know what I mean? So like the concept of like maybe we fucked up and we should have gone down a different path, but still being stoked that we're doing it. And even if the band does fail, like we get to go back to Wilkes-Barre and it's a win-win, you know? So through the music video, we wanted to like showcase like why we love this area, and like this is our fallback, this is where we come from, and if the band does fail, this is where we'll be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we wanted it to be a love letter for sure, and put on for all of our homies doing stuff and everyone who's doing something to make our area special and make it a place that feels like home. And so when people travel from out of state or out of town, they know where to go and they see things, recognize it, and they can also feel a little bit like familiar with the area. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. That song is, I think, maybe actually my favorite on the record, above S-Rock.
I think that is my favorite song on the record, probably. Yeah.
And it you know, watching that video too, and kind of, you know, obviously, you know, being familiar with the area, you take it one way. Maybe being from out of the area, I still feel like it's incredibly relatable, because it just feels like a hometown, that sort of thing. Like, even if they didn't know anything about Wilkes-Barre, they didn't know you were from there or anything like that, just seeing that, I think, would give people that hometown sort of feel to it,
100%,
which is relatable in its own way, you know?
Yeah, and I think that was kind of even like a small intention that I feel like we had of just being like this, like you could kind of take this concept that we like did, and just because it's about our home doesn't mean that you can't feel the same way about your home or like where you're from, you know? And I think like there was just people like texting us and messaging us like on Instagram and just being like, you have me crying over a place that like I don't even know, but it just like it feels so like it feels like home, you know, even to me, and like it's so relatable in different ways. But yeah, that music video came together in such a crazy way because we had a whole other concept for the video that literally we had to just throw away 2 days before we were supposed to film, and we were just like scrambling. It was insane.
Yeah.
Like I'm calling Ross like every hour, just being like, well, what about this? And he's like, well, I have this idea. Like, we got to run with this idea. And I'm like, okay, well, how do you want to do that? And then we're just like,
we had like 3 or 4 other ideas, and then we were like, let's just do this one. This one's cooler.
Yeah, it was, and you're just like Ross was like, we could do this one, and it'll be easier. It like, we could just go to the places. It won't be as like, we don't need props. We don't need anything. We just need our bodies and like our instruments. You know what I mean? And yeah, so it like, it was insane to have. We literally like made a storyboard for the whole other music video.
Dude, we filmed it. We filmed it on my phone.
On his phone, like just the shots and different ideas for it. And like we had this all down, and then one of the locations fell through. The one kid that we were gonna have in it got sick. And like it just all fell apart, and we were just like, oh my god, like this is. And it was our first music video that was ever shot on film as well.
Yeah.
So we were like, we can't have a shitty concept and then waste 30 minutes of film because it's expensive, and like those cameras are insanely expensive to rent for these people. So like we just didn't want it to be bad.
Yeah, really. I think once we settled on the initial concept, we were kind of both of us were like, oh, we should have just did that in the first place.
Yeah.
We were just
100%.
like, this makes so much more sense. Because the original idea was a kid waking up, stepping on his glasses, and just him having a shitty day, just, you know what I mean? And inevitably being thrown into, like, Harvey's Lake. Which, like, thinking back
in
now,
February.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which would have been bad.
Yeah.
For sure.
Thank God.
I mean, he still jumped in, though.
Yeah,
the homie.
Yeah. Love to, fucking, Andrew and Chris, they killed it.
Yeah.
Also, like, equally as motivated, as we were to get this done. Like, they were going just as hard. Like, we would show up to a spot and they would run out and instantly start doing, like, the light meter and setting up the camera, making sure it was all right. And they were in love with the area too. Like, they kept saying, like, we have to come back. We have to, like, just enjoy the area instead of speed running through it, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, very stoked on that. And then also, like, the name, like, Giants Despair being about Giants, like, the overlook and, like, just naming it something that, like, just kind of encapsulates Wilkes-Barre without saying Wilkes-Barre, I think, too, was very important to us.
For sure.
And I think it's cool, too, that everyone thinks it's, like, a Gypsy reference or a Title Fight reference, but I like that all three of those bands are very special and important to us. Or both those bands were very special and important to us. Now, like, all of us kind of have, like, a reference to the area.
Yeah.
Or, like, to Giants Despair, but also we're speaking about the Valley, really.
It's almost like every generation, like, growing up and having that as such an important place to us, you know, a place that I feel like everybody grew up going to if you're from that area, you know, and just, like, going up there and then getting chased out by the cops or whatever, but just like hanging out and just like being at the overlook of Wilkes-Barre. And I think it's really cool just to see like every generation kind of having that as a stamp in their you know, musical catalog in a way.
That would be pretty cool.
The name of the record, referencing it in the song,
or
naming
having
a song.
naming a song. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
And wrapping up, we have So Far From Me, which we referenced earlier.
Yeah, and this is the song that Ross was a big hater on for a while.
Yeah.
And then
I did really like it at first.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it was this song's super special to me just because this song's kind of about coming and going all the time and kind of experiencing the differences like every time you come back here, whether like, you know, oh, maybe someone's engaged now, or like you're kind of, maybe someone's moving away now that they planned while you were gone for like 6 weeks or 2 months or whatever. And then maybe, you know, your relationship with somebody else is like kind of different, or like they're not hitting you up as much because you're just so in and out all the time. And even like my relationship with my family, just kind of them now just expecting me to be gone for everything all the time, and not really like including me in being like, oh yeah, he'll be home for that, or it's like, oh yeah, we did that without you, or we already had plans to do that because we figured you were gone. So this was like a song just about that, you know, and coming and going, but also just kind of as soon as I say hi, I'm always saying goodbye to people. So lyrically and like just the song itself, like when I sat down to kind of work on the song, I was in like a really like kind of weird spot in time period last spring at the end of a tour, and I sat down and I was like kind of feeling a little bad that day, and I just, this song riff just kind of came out of me, like just playing it, and then from there I just kept building it, and then when we demoed it I was like, this has to be a song. And then that's when I was like kind of pushing it on him, and then we listened to it and he was like, this is sick, like, but it either needs to open or close the record. And then, you know, like we talked about earlier, we kind of fell down that whole rabbit hole, and finally, you know, we ended up putting it on the record. But yeah, it's just a song that's like super sentimental to me personally, and I'm happy that it's on there, and I'm happy that it closes the record, because I think it puts it on such a very interesting end to then when you loop back to the beginning, it kind of like, I don't know, it just all connects in a cool way, honestly. But yeah,
that song for me, like when Ryan showed it to me, I was stoked on it, and then once it came time to like where I had to start writing over it and start adding more to it, I couldn't figure out why everything I was doing sounded like shit in one part but okay in one. And it's because we're kind of ignorant when it comes to music. We don't know much. but there's 3 key changes in that song.
Yeah.
So like that's why I couldn't figure out how to write a consistent lead over all of it. So that was super difficult in trying to create an atmosphere around the song because
it goes in from, it starts in one key, goes to another, and then ends back at the beginning key.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's how it is, but like
it was so confusing to like figure out how to piece it all together.
Yeah.
But it sounds like cohesive, like you know what I mean.
You
like,
don't notice it, and we didn't notice it until we went to record it, and John was like, "It's crazy that you guys were able to pull this off with all the key changes." And we're like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah, we're like, I don't even know what you're talking
where does
about.
that happen? But,
I'm still kind of ignorant on that. Like even like we're kind of still writing stuff like all the time and working on stuff. And the other night I was literally sitting with our homie Maddox who plays in If Kansas Had Trees, and this was literally last night. And I was like, "Is this a key change if I do this?" And he was just like, "No, you're good." I was like, "All right, thank you." Because I'm just like, I'm not good at hearing it and like being like, okay, that seems out, unless it's very like drastically different. Like, but sometimes things are just slightly off, or maybe like you're hitting one string open that might be out of key. That's like throwing it off. Like that's where Eric Chesick has really helped us a lot too, with just like kind of being able to like help us either reposition like the shaping of a chord to make it sound more in key, or just like maybe give an alternative to like the riff just to make it sound like a little better. So yeah, I don't know how we pulled that off, but it sounds really cool.
Yeah, love the E string Chesick. That dude, he gets music on a different level.
His brain is
it's what song was it where we were demoing it with him? He was like, that chord doesn't make sense, but if we tune the B to like 10 cents down, then it goes into Middle Eastern tuning, and it could work if we like change this, and just completely started retuning the guitar while we're playing it so everything makes sense properly.
That was during the first LP.
Yeah,
he's insane.
He needs to be in a band. I want to do a band with him so bad. He is so cool.
He is so good at everything.
Yeah.
I honestly like, he's one of our really good friends, and like he's done so much for this band and has helped us out in so many ways, and like yeah, I feel like we bring him up all the time just because he's literally the GOAT. And he's like so low key about it. Like he's so low key.
He's like the hidden member of OSC.
Yeah.
For sure. I love that dude.
He's awesome.
But yeah, another cool thing with that song was we used a steel guitar at one of the parts, and the homie Rob, who was helping us record it, he like also just knows how to play everything.
He's the same way, yeah.
Yeah, he is so weird and so funny, but he just gets music again in a weird way. But we were talking about doing it, and then he did something that sounded so like country and like, I don't know how to explain it, very like just crazy. And we're like, I don't know if we should keep that in there, like playing with like a beer bottle kind of vibe. Just
it was great. Yeah, glass bottle just like doing the slide, and we're just like,
and he's just like, yeah, and then does that sound cool? What if I do that? And just like shredding the thing while like speaking to us. It was so crazy. But that song came out very just pretty, and it leaves you on like a very interesting note. I think it's cool.
Yeah,
I like that, and it does tie into the beginning well. It kind of creates like a circle there.
And now you guys are doing a record release show for this.
Yes.
That is local. When was the last local show that you guys played? Has it been a while? It's been a while, I think.
The Skate Jam in 2022.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so like this record release will be like a month and a half before the 2-year mark of like not playing home. So wow. It's been a little while. It wasn't intentional. I think we just kind of got caught up in like a lot of different things that we had going on, and then studio time and like different things that we had to do. And we played home twice that year because we played in May with it was us, Anxious, a band called Soul Blind, who's also playing in Scranton in June here. And I forget who else was on it. Wild Red was on it, right? Mm-hmm. And yeah, so we played twice, and then we're like, all right, like we could give Wilkes-Barre a little bit of a break. Like we just played twice here this year, and you know,
it turned into
2 years. Yeah. And like I feel like it honestly like came so much faster than we were expecting it to. Of just like oh yeah, we'll be back soon. And then, here we are now. But I'm super excited for it. I haven't even been to Doug's Boardroom yet. Because every show that's happened there, we have been on tour for.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because just the name alone, I'm like, I haven't been there yet either. So
yes,
I'm very curious, like what it's like in there.
Yeah, so I mean, from what they did that turnover show, the benefit show that's there, right, yes. And we were of course gone for that, which was unfortunate. And so they did that show there, and it's just kind of like a big kind of like VFW hall kind of vibe, I'm pretty sure, from like what everybody was kind of saying.
That's what I've seen from pictures that I've kind of gotten that vibe.
Yeah. They do like cornhole tournaments in there and like different kinds of events and like stuff like that. But our homie Kate's stepdad owns it. Okay. And he's super about the local music scene and stuff like that, and is just like down to throw shows there. So we're gonna like rent a stage and just make it like as cool as we possibly can, and we wanted to just bring the homies down for a cool show and just try to put on for like, locals. Obviously we have If Kansas Had Trees playing and Choice to Make playing, and we just wanted to make it like a cool mixed bill show, just kind of like all the shows that we grew up going to see. Like I feel like it wasn't weird if Title Fight or Tiger's Jaw was playing with like a hardcore band that was like really heavy or something, Right. So we wanted to kind of create the same vibe and just like bring our homies out and just make it as cool as we could. I'm excited. I'm really, really excited for it.
I'm stoked. Yeah, it's cool because we have locals and friends opening it, and then we're having friends we made through touring play as well. Like Kansas having like the Young Heads open it up, and then Choice to Make OGs playing, and then Koyo we met just through touring. Like even when we didn't play a show together, we would just meet up at like a record store or something. Just kick it, and then Arm's Length. The weirdest Canadians. I love them. They're so cool. And that band just rocks. So it's going to be just, at least I think, just for everyone, just a friendly get-together. You know what I mean? I feel it's going to be like hanging out first, show second kind of vibe.
So many homies in one place. It's going to be a little overwhelming, I think, honestly.
I think, too, because it's all friends, like, we're all just going to go off hard for each other. So just the energy there and just, like, I don't know. It's going to be cool. And then that's the... we're having the record release, and then the day before or the day after we start the trio tour with Koyo and Aisha. So it'll just be all of our friends that are on tour there too. So
it's gonna be nonstop.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. I think that I'm excited to have that show and have that show for Wilkes-Barre, especially. You know what I mean?
Right.
Bring bands from like either out of the country, Canada, or out of state come through and play. I think it's important to have like shows like that happen in general. You know what I mean? And then also show people from out of the area, like, this is our scene. Yeah. Strong. We got a cool scene going here, Come play. But yeah, it's going to be cool. And we have like a whole day planned out for that too, so it's going to be a fun time. I'm excited for it.
And it's cool too because you guys did, an initial tour with Koyo and Anxious, and then this is kind of like a second leg, basically. Yeah. How did that first leg go? How was
it? Was awesome. It was probably the biggest. Like we played New York City, and it was probably the biggest New York show that we've ever played to like for kids that were just there for like our three bands. Like there was over 1,000 people at the New York show, and like it felt honestly pretty surreal. It felt like we were playing a fest.
Yeah.
Like that's what it felt like, but like they were just there for the three of our bands. And like I don't know, it was just like when we got up on stage that night, I was just like, wow, this is like it was just a moment of reflection of like we've been touring and doing this for so long and really putting in the work, and like this is why you do that. You know what I mean? This is why you do those support tours, and this is why you maybe play things that sometimes you don't really want to, or you're maybe not stoked on, but like maybe it'll help you like gain some fans and stuff like that. But like it all kind of just like came to me like so fast, and I just felt like I was just very grateful and super excited. But that whole tour was incredible. And it hit such weird places for the most part. Like we played like Des Moines, Iowa, and like some like Springfield, Missouri, and some
that was
really
the best show.
Yeah, that show was so fun. But just some like kind of weird places, and shout out to those places because those shows were so really fun. But like just places that we like some places that we never even played before. As One Step Closer, and Now this time we kind of get to like do like, okay, we're playing like the actual cities for the most part. Like we're playing Chicago, we're doing like LA, Sound and Fury, and
places
like
we've like put work in.
Yeah, places that we've toured through a bunch, and like honestly, I think this leg will probably be even better than this last leg, except for the exception of like the Northeast shows, because they were absolutely incredible. But like I think that in terms of like just getting to play like the bigger cities as this package is like, we're like, we can't not do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're like, this last leg went so well, like we literally have to do another leg and just make it as cool as we possibly can.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm just super stoked to be back on the road, because I feel like everyone is like so tight knit now that everyone is so close that it's just gonna be like chaos the entire time.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah.
We've talked about we'll come up with like fictional tours in the band sometime, just like this would be crazy if this happened. And we've talked about doing like this trio tour in the past, like randomly. And we've like talked to Koyo so many times and be like, we have to tour together. Anxious, like our first full US was with them.
With Anxious, yeah.
We played so many shows with them. We wanted to do like a proper tour with them for so long now. And it might have been like, they hit us up and was like, yo, this is our idea. We should actually do this. And we were like, oh, 100%. Let's figure it out.
Yeah, we've been talking about this forever.
Yeah.
like, let's just do it already. Yeah.
And then being able to like finally do it, we were like, we should just do this again. Do it with like major markets now. And so it's been a long time coming, this like tour, I guess. But I think all three of the bands talked about it without talking to anyone else. And then once we like, someone mentioned it, we were like, oh, yes, we should do that, you know? So this tour, I think, is just special just for us in general, just to go out with our friends and play music with people who have a similar way of thinking about music. And we all come from hardcore, but we all like different music, you know what I mean? And to be able to like share our passion for hardcore and also just music in general, and then just hang out, fuck around all night. Yeah. It's awesome.
Plus, I feel like the three of our bands are all in this like weird hardcore adjacent kind of wave of like emo hardcore music. And yeah, like it's cool just to like have the three of us doing it together instead of like, I don't know, instead of doing another support tour or something. You know what I mean? Like, let's play to like our fans and our people and just have the shows be so fun and kind of like take a step back from like being like, oh, but we need to like grind and we need to do the thing, and just like have fun, you know?
It's cool too, because I genuinely love Anxious. Like those are like,
oh my God,
family,
same.
You know? Just coming up with them.
We both played like in the band at points, and like, that's like some of our best friends, you know?
And then like Koyo, love that band.
Yeah,
you know what
same.
I mean? And then being able to hang out with them more and get to know them. So being able to see bands that I genuinely listen to and love, you know, every night is so cool. And being able to like share the stage with them is also like kind of an honor, you know? Because I don't know, I think those bands are like leading the way, you know what I mean? I think both those bands are very special in their own right. So I'm stoked to be able to go on tour with them and call them my peers.
Yeah, and it seems like you guys have built up this really great following, and would you credit that to the consistent touring that you guys are doing and kind of building fans the old-fashioned way?
I would say, yeah, that, and just like...
We're very stubborn.
Yeah, like... Being active, I feel like, even like, you know, I feel like everything is a social media game nowadays as well. And you kind of just have to throw yourself out there as much as you possibly could. And we are so like, oh my God, we're horrible with it because we just don't want to look lame. Because I feel like we are not like...
We're not lame.
Yeah, we're like, it's weird as it is to say that. I just feel like we
hope so.
We try to like hold the band to a standard of like, we can't let ourselves dip that low to be like, oh, we have to be weird and corny on TikTok and like do these kinds of things, which you don't really have to be, but like everything has shifted so much to that world of like, okay, everything is like on TikTok platform. That's how people are discovering bands. That's how people are discovering Knocked Loose and Turnstile and all these big bands and stuff. And like then your whole team is kind of like pushing you to do it, and like we're like, all right, we'll do it, but like we think it's so lame, you know, like whatever. So we try to be as active and try to be as genuine as we possibly could, like on social media, and post things that we think are cool and do things the way that we want to do it as much as we can. But I think touring has really definitely, you know, put us in front of new audiences and have been able to draw a lot of people into like liking the band. I mean, we're like really willing to tour with things that are way outside of like hardcore and like that are in different pockets of music. Like we've done tours with Silverstein and Movements, and you know, we just did a Knuckle Puck tour, and then we still do hardcore tours. We did a tour with Terror. We've done like you know, even like some small headlining stuff. We have yet to do like a proper headlining tour. We did a tour with Turnstile in Europe and stuff. You know, we've kind of like been all over the spectrum of like rock music in a way. But I think that's kind of how you have to gain new fans. You know, you can't just let the algorithm hopefully, you know, show you to people. You kind of you got to go out there and work and grind. And honestly, a band that I really look up to for that is Knocked Loose. I mean, they've been grinding and touring like crazy, and now like they're our friends, and like them just kind of telling us like how they did it and like seeing what they've done. They just played to 4,200 people at a headliner in Dallas, Texas last night, you know, and like, or somewhere in Texas, and like seeing that and just being like, wow, like you were just playing to like 500 people or less, you know, a couple of years ago, and like we saw you at the Other Side. We played with them at the Other Side in 2018. And there was maybe 150 people there. Yeah. And it's just like seeing that, to now seeing that kind of success from a band, it's really inspiring, honestly. Yeah. And it's very like them and Title Fight as well. Like they grinded like crazy and they toured like nonstop. And I think that's just been the blueprint for like you want to grow your band, you got to put in the work, and you really have to dedicate your life to doing this thing. And even if it doesn't work out, like, you know, you at least tried and did it the way that you should.
Yeah, I think coming up in hardcore too, like touring, it was just part of the scene, you know, like getting out there, playing shows, booking your own shit, and just meeting people, doing the thing. I think that was also our initial goal, was to just tour and play shows. Yeah, like we didn't really give a shit who came out, you know. We played we played a show in New Jersey at the homie's basement, and no one came. Yeah. You know what I mean? We played so many shows where just no one showed up. The first time we met Anxious, we played a VFW, and no one came. It was. Yeah.
I think it was like 3 people paid, right?
I don't think.
And it was the bands?
Yeah, it was the bands.
The bands and 3 people paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
But insane. Like through those shows, like we just, I don't know, it wasn't about who was there, who wasn't, because those shows are always the best. You know what I mean? Even the show we played at Springfield, that no one really showed up, so we just fucked around the whole time, and it was awesome. It's literally one of my favorite shows we played.
And everyone that was there was like stoked. Like, I don't know, like I feel like
it was just nonsense.
Yeah, it was just nonsense. And it wasn't even like a diss at like, you know, anything at the scene or anything, but it was just like
we wanted to make it fun.
Yeah, so we wanted you got to make it fun. You got to like enjoy the low moments too, of just being like,
rather being like pissy that no one showed up, like have fun for the people that were there, you know, so
because
like,
they're there to see us, and they want to have a good time, you know, and like I don't know, so I definitely credit like seeing those bands kind of be so driven and do the touring like that. Like it's definitely something that's, like I said, very inspiring for us, for sure.
I feel like I hate social media. I think it's so lame, and I think, respectfully to Ryan, I think we are both so lame, and we're like the biggest dorks. Yeah. So like for us to try and like look cool is so like,
it doesn't feel right.
No. Also, like trying to think about something like, oh, is this cool, just feels inherently lame and cringy almost. You know what I mean? Like trying to force something. So I feel like for a while we just kind of didn't care about it, and then like talking to people and having them be like, no, like that stuff is kind of important, it has been like just so weird to us. I feel like still now, like our mentality is just play as much as we could, and if someone didn't like us the last time, we'll force you to like us the next time. You know what I mean? Like
odds are you'll see us again at some point, because we're just trying to do it.
Yeah, stubborn in that way. I think it was Isaac who was telling us that like in the beginning no one liked Knocked Loose. People hated Knocked Loose for a long time, and he was like, just forced them to like us. We didn't stop. Just kept playing nonstop, like touring consistently for years, and then eventually someone was like, actually, this is pretty cool. And then it just kind of started from there. So I feel like that's our mentality with it. Just be road dogs, tour as much as we can, and hope for the best.
Yeah, hope for the best.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Maybe someone will like us one day kind of vibe.
Earn every last fan.
Yes, yeah.
Is there anything else you guys want to mention?
I feel like we covered a lot today.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the questions are awesome, and I feel like it was nice to honestly talk about the record like that. Like, we haven't really, I don't think we've really gotten to do that yet.
No.
And this is like the first time doing it, and the record's not even out yet. So hopefully, you know, people get a little insight of like what to expect. And
That's what I'm hoping. If they don't, you know, sometimes they don't catch the live stream, but they'll watch it after. So maybe if they you check out the record next week, come back to this podcast and then give it a listen, and you know, you might experience some of those songs in a different way.
Yeah, I hope so. We're like super anxious to put out the record already, but we're just like, it's always nervous putting out new music, especially just like I said, like we feel so passionately about this record and are super stoked on it, but like, who knows how people are going to perceive it? You know what I mean? We can only really hope for the best. So, I mean, fingers crossed that everything goes cool. and people are down, you know?
Yeah, the record's good, I promise.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, don't tell me.
My buddy Johnny Popko commented. He said, "Giants Despair is the best song you've ever recorded." So he definitely
shout out Johnny.
That's awesome. I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so let me we'll give everything one last plug here. One Step Closer's second full-length album, All You Embrace, will be released on CD, vinyl, digital, and all major streaming platforms next Friday, May 17th, via Run for Cover Records. You can pre-order all that stuff too, so you can check out Run for Cover Records. And then the show, One Step Closer, will play a record release show at Doug's Boardroom in Kingston on June 27th with Koyo, Arm's Length, Choice to Make, and If Kansas Had Trees. Tickets are $25 and on sale now at onestepcloserwb.com. So thanks so much for hanging out with us,
dude.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
This I know this has been kind of a long time coming. I feel like we've always missed each other a little bit.
We've talked about it a few times. I'm so glad we were able to finally make this work.
Yeah, same. This was really nice. So thank you again for having us. It was really nice to have a fun conversation about everything.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And one more thing, if you're a kid and you want to start a band or start going to shows, follow Wilkes-Barre shows on Instagram or Spaceman's Arts on Instagram, or just message the OSC Instagram or any of our personals and we'll point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
Come out, start a band, do a zine, support the scene.
Yeah.
Nice.
That rhymed.
Solid messaging.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. If you enjoyed the show, please do all the good algorithm things like comment, share, spread the word so that people know this is going on. We just the other day when I had posted that we were going to have these guys on, somebody commented, was like, I didn't even know they were playing a local show around here. Where do I get tickets? And I linked them to the tickets. So we sold at least one ticket.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That's awesome.
So, like, that's the way that we spread the word and let people know what's going on here. Because there is nothing worse than when I read a comment that says, I wish I knew about this.
Oh, I know. That
I
sucks.
would have gone to this.
Yeah.
So you guys got to be the ones that help us with that. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've certainly noticed on my social media feed, I'm getting less and less of the stuff I actually want to see, and more of the junk that corporations are trying to feed you. So, we're trying to do it all DIY, independent. So please spread the word, and let's pack this show. Let's sell this place out.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And we'll see you next time. Have a good night.
Peace.